I mean, I think about it all the time, like in regard to how easy it would be to be one of those like reactionary media commentators because the bar of entry is so low on the talent scale for those jobs because they're a sort of necessary part of the Steve Price or the Paul Murray or the Joe Hildebrands of these worlds who are all these
Yeah.
like semi-talented people at best, but like get these
hot take experts.
incredible media opportunities because they're just willing to make ridiculous hot takes constantly. And it's easy. Like, like just coming up with ridiculous hot takes all the time, as long as you don't actually have to come up with ones you believe in, because I'm sincerely of the belief that everybody in the world only has about 3 or 4 genuine hot takes and then everything else is just ridiculous noise. So like this idea of being like an every 3 days, you've got to come up with some reactionary hot take. I think it's in the same way as you playing a racist person, like stepping in, like there's an element of like going, I understand why this is appealing to people because there's a freedom in it and there's a like safety in it, not for the people that you are attacking. Clearly they're the ones who, but it's a power thing, isn't it? It puts you back in charge of things.
And like you said something about Andrew Bolt years ago, I remember, where you said like he has to this has to be a performance. Like there's no way that one person can be so fixated on such kind of like meaningless issues so feverishly. And I think the one thing to come out of this Dominion Fox News case is, yeah, you're right. Like it is performative. Like those hosts genuinely do not believe what they're saying, but they know that they have an audience they're playing to and they've got to play the hits, which makes you kind of go, all right, we sort of, I think, the accepted wisdom is, Fox News and Newsmax, and even on the left, like MSNBC, there is some parochial cheerleading going on there. But it does make you wonder, as we sort of beat down on like more serious news, like how much of it is entertainment? Like, is there anything that is really just, we have that kind of 1960s version of a newsreader in our head that just objectively delivering the news, but it's kind of all got to be performative to an extent, right?
I mean, even the way that the market has changed has meant that it has to be. Like, there was a time when headlines had to have some association with the article that they were stuck on the top of. But now, because the market, particularly, because of the online world, and, this always ends up being about money. So if it's not public broadcasting, then everything else is commercially driven and it's advertising driven. And the revenue model is that, clicks drive the advertising revenue you're getting, and more people click on a Kardashian story or a bikini story or a controversy story or a headline that at least implies that there is one of those sort of things, involved in
and
the
if
story.
You can get all of those in one headline, like the Kardashians photographed in a bikini while cheating on her husband, and boom, you got it.
Breaking her silence about cheating on her husband in a bikini. Yeah, like that would be exactly the sort of story. And then you click through and it'd be a story about the federal budget. Like that is pretty much the association. In fact, that's the way we should get people to read about the federal budget. People would read through a few paragraphs before, when does Kim Kardashian come into this? But I think that if that becomes the marketplace, if everything becomes this, like clickbait style world, that even the media organizations that isn't their natural forte, it's like when a sport changes the way that it plays and then everybody else has to say, do we just let this sporting team play the way they play and we'll trust the way that we play, or do we have to start playing like they play?
Yeah. Well, and what's the answer?
Oh, sorry, you wanted answers? I was just extrapolating on the problem. Sorry, I was just reinforcing the point you were already making. I have no solutions.
The solution is obviously to be as widely read and as judicious with your media consumption as possible, but that's fucking hard. Like, it's really hard to kind of like do research and, well, actually not according to a lot of the people who live up my way. Apparently everyone's doing their own research up here.
It's easy to do research. It's hard to do good research. So this would be the business model if I was in charge of it, right? So we know what drives the traffic, the Verity scores, the things that people are going to read about. So I believe it's got to be an eat your vegetables before you get your dessert approach. So I believe that if you want to unlock, so you go down, you see this story about Kim Kardashian and her bikini breaking her silence about the affair she had. Kanye's probably mentioned because he's a good trigger word to get people interested as well. And then you go down to click on that. and then it gives you a list of other stories. Like, and you have to read, say, like, to unlock this one, you have to read 2 other stories, and then you will have to answer 2 questions. So, like, one might be about climate change, and one's about, like, you know, like vaccines or something like that. You have to read both of those. There'll be a question at the end, and if you answer those questions, then you can unlock the story about the Kardashians. So basically, it forces everyone to be an active consumer of good news before they can unlock the dessert news.
Well, so Iona has these educational apps on the iPad, which, you know, they teach reading and hand-eye coordination, all this kind of stuff. And that's essentially how these programs, these games are designed. It's like, well, once you can correctly spell out, CAT, then you can move on and you get the little game for like, and then you go back to another bit of learning. So we're saying we develop news reading apps for like that ostensibly are for children, but they're made for adults.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I would do that. I mean, if I got a tasty bit, like if it's got to be good, trashy clickbait shit, because I don't want one of those ones like, you remember that child star? Well, you'll never believe what they look like now. Like I've fallen for that once or twice and clicked through about 100 pages of something before. I'm like, oh, looks like a normal person.
Yeah,
I want some juicy clickbait.
I understand, but this is why I think you have like a rating. So like next to each thing, like if it's really juicy, it's like, you know, it might be some really great piece of royal gossip or something that people really want to read. And so, yeah, the Queen's last words
Look
about...
at this giant shit that Prince Harry did.
Yeah, okay, that's right. We've found Prince Harry's written a sequel, and in it there's a picture of the biggest shit he ever took.
It's weird. Like he was in America, they put more water in the bowl, so it's one piece, and it comes out of the lip of the bowl. And he's in the photo as well. He's doing a selfie. He's down there next to it, like making an O face. Because you can't believe how big his royal shit is. We have that photo.
Right. And so then there's 9 articles you have to read. So it's got like a little 9 next to it, and you have to read all 9 to get to that juicy. Like, so they're weighted. So then you'd know. So say you'll never recognize, you know, this star of the Goonies, what they look like now. That's maybe like you have to read this 1 article, and it's only 4 paragraphs.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Prince Harry's shit, that's a 9-articler.
Yeah. No, mate. You have to read the whole rest of the paper, and then we might let you see the shit.
I love that. I think that would work. I mean, the good thing about that too is it can sort of be geo kind of like, you know, or the gossip and stuff. So for us, you know, being AFL fans, it'd be like, you know, what would it be? We've caught up with John the Rat Platt, and you'll never believe what he looks like now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm down with that. To see the full video, join our Patreon.
Patreon.com/Tofop.